Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the Kansas City Royals in the first game of a 3-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today on the mound for the Royals, right-hander Michael Lorenzen, and for the Padres, right-hander Nick Pivetta. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 as the Padres begin a 6-game homestand. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll also hear from Robert Suarez. We'll hear from Gavin Sheets. And in just a little bit, we check in with Bob Scanlon, who joins Jesse Agler on today's radio broadcast. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Well, the Padres entered today's game 40-34. Padres coming off a 2-5 road trip to Arizona and LA. They won the final game of that series in LA last night. We'll talk plenty more about that game in just a little bit. Royals come in 37-38, although they just swept a 3-game series from the Rangers in Texas. Before that sweep, the Royals had lost 6 in a row and started June with a 3-10 record. So Kansas City playing some better baseball entering this series. Padres entered today 5 games behind the LA Dodgers for first place in the National League West and holding the final wild card spot in the National League. Well, we had a wild one last night at Dodger Stadium. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
In the top of the second, it was Xander Bogaerts.
2, and Xander hits it in the air to left center field pretty deep. Kim is going back. He's on the warning track at the wall. It's going to go! Xander can enjoy this one. Padres take a 1-0 lead in the second inning as Bogaerts follows up the 9th inning double last night with his 4th home run of the season here tonight.
It was Xander's first home run since May 14th. Padres had a 2-0 lead going bottom 5. Ryan Berger went 4 2/3 scoreless innings in his start. Adrian Morejon got a big out to finish the 5th inning. Xander Bogaerts struck again, a leadoff double, his 3rd hit of the night. Jake Cronenworth was next.
Cronenworth first pitch swinging out towards left center. Long run, Pages into the gap. He won't get there. Hits on the warning track, pops over the wall. A ground rule double as Bogaerts will come in to score.
So Cronenworth an RBI double. In the 8th inning, it was Gavin Sheets who added on.
And that's lined up the middle into center field, a base hit. Gavin Sheets not only extends his hitting streak to 10 games, but it's an RBI single to play to rise and add on here in the 8th. It's 4-0.
Padres got another. They led 5-0 heading to the 9th inning. In the 9th inning, things got crazy. If you haven't seen it by now, where you been? Fernando got hit again. Bench is clear. Mike Shildt was irate. Dave Roberts came out. Roberts with a push. Both teams fired up. In the bottom half of the 9th inning, the Dodgers made a ton of noise despite Roberts removing Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Will Smith in what was just a 5-run game. Suarez would hit Ohtani in the bottom half of the inning. We'll talk more about that in a second. Padres had a 5-3 lead after the Dodgers got 3 runs in the bottom half of the 9th. The tying runs in scoring position. It was Yuki Matsui on the mound against Dalton Rushing.
Matsui ready. Here's the pitch to Rushing. Swung on and tipped into Maldonado's mitt. Strike 3 and the ball game is over.
A really, really nice, much-needed win for the Padres yesterday. Final score last night in L.A. and an absolutely wild one. The Padres 5 and the Dodgers 3. And now we get ready for the start of a 3-game series back here in San Diego against the Kansas City Royals with first pitch coming up at 6:40. Let's go inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Bob Scanlon in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
All right, Scan, before we focus on today's matchup, let's rewind a little bit and kind of circle back to some things that happened last night. We find out earlier today, Fernando Tatis Jr. in the lineup. As Mike Shildt said, he is one tough dude. He's back in there here tonight, which is obviously a great thing to see.
Yeah, it really is. Obviously, there was some serious concern after he got hit with that pitch last night, but the x-rays came back negative. But because of the location of the impact, they did some additional tests as well. Other imaging was taking place. So the good news is everything was fine. And then to your second point, the toughness that Fernando has. This kid wants to play. Obviously, he's not feeling 100%, but he feels good enough to be able to compete. And that's sort of symbolic of this entire ball club, isn't it? I mean, how many times have we seen Manny Machado go out there when we know he's not 100%? He continues to play. Jake Cronenworth coming back from broken ribs much more quickly than anybody expected. Xander Bogaerts has done the same thing. So there's a tradition in this clubhouse, and it's set by the leadership of, you know what? We're here to play some hardball. Even if you're not 100%, let's get after it. And Fernando's showing that once again tonight.
And then, Bob, the other part of this, Robert Suarez was suspended 3 games by Major League Baseball. He will appeal, so he'll be available for tonight's game. Mike Shildt and Dave Roberts both suspended a game. Mike will serve his suspension in this series opener here tonight. Just your quick reaction to the suspensions that were handed down after what happened last night.
Well, no surprise with Robert Suarez. Obviously, he's going to appeal it. My guess is that they will reduce it maybe by a game. I'll be surprised if they don't do that. As for Mike and Dave, no surprise that they're each getting suspended. I guess my only little bit of surprise is that Dave Roberts was the person that made the first contact in that incident. I mean, granted, both guys were hot, understandably, given the circumstances, but it was Dave that actually made the physical contact. I would not have been surprised if he had gotten an extra day, more than Mike got, but, it is what it is. Mike's not going to make a big issue of it. Nobody is. It's just he's going to serve his day and move on. And I love the question afterwards. Somebody asked him, do you have any regrets about, what took place and what went down and now getting suspended for a game? And he said, absolutely not. I'm standing up for my players. Obviously he has a responsibility to represent the organization, to represent the game of baseball. And I think Mike Shildt does that as well as anybody. I know, and Sam, how much respect he has for the game, but he also has a ton of respect. And as he said, love for his players and his clubhouse in the city, and that's what he was standing up for, so no regrets from Mike's side.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Scans, and we'll hear from Mike Shildt. We'll hear pretty much everything he had to say earlier today, a little bit later in our pregame coverage. All right, enough about last night, Scans. Let's move on to today. Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres against the Kansas City Royals. Royals swinging the bat well against the Rangers earlier this week. And Scans, I want to focus on the Nick Pivetta 4-seam fastball. It's arguably been his best weapon this season as far as having a career-low 208 batting average against on that 4-seamer. He's coming off a really good outing against Arizona during that last road trip. What is it about the 4-seam fastball in particular that has worked well for Nick Pivetta so far this season?
Yeah, it's interesting it's difficult to just put one pitch in a silo, isn't it? Because obviously we have great results through that, but that's pitch that's setting up the curveball, and the curveball is setting that pitch up. And then he has got the sweeper also that sets both of those pitches up. So I think, yes, we're seeing great numbers out of the fastball, and it's certainly a great weapon. It's an important one. But let's not forget that the other weapons have been very effective as well, and using them both, the fastball to set up the others and the others to set up the fastball. He locates it incredibly effectively. It's very rare that you see him not get to the lane that he wants to get to. In other words, if he's trying to go inside on a righty, he gets it there. Inside on a lefty, he gets it there. He's also able to elevate incredibly effectively as well, especially against the left-handers to set up that curveball. He's got good carry on it, good velocity on it. I know that, he and Ruben worked on some things in spring training in terms of his positioning on the mound that may have changed a little bit, how the ball's coming out as his hand in terms of how it's being seen, Sam, by the batters and allowing those pitches to sort of tunnel each other a little bit more effectively. Just a minor thing, and who knows how much that has to do with it. But look, every little thing you can do to help something matters, right? So it's just a combination of things, and it's been a great pitch for him. And when he has that, there's a good chance that he's going to get a bunch of outs, especially against the left-handers. That's my funnest thing to watch, how he uses his fastball against the left-hand batters and his ability to go down and away when he wants to, ride that top part of the zone for strikes, ride that top part of the zone just a little bit out of the strike zone once he gets ahead, and complement it with that curveball. So to your point, it's been a great pitch and fun to watch.
Scan's really good insight as always. We'll talk a little bit more about Michael Lorenzen, the other guy on this pitching matchup here tonight for the Royals, and I'm sure you and Jesse will talk plenty about Michael Lorenzen as well. A lot to break down as we get ready for this one. Scans, we'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at 6:30 for this series opener. Thanks so much.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sam.
That was Bob Scanlon joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for this series opener here in downtown San Diego. Absolutely beautiful Friday here in America's finest city. Crowd filing in. Plenty of people already here inside the Western Metal Building, inside the loft, enjoying their beers and their sodas and their mixed drinks and all the good stuff they have to offer here at Petco Park. When we come back, we hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. You don't want to miss this. We get the latest on Fernando Tatis Jr. We also hear a lot of thoughts about last night, even more. So we told you last night you didn't want to miss Mike's post-game reaction. You don't want to miss today's pregame media availability with Mike Shildt because, again, he got even deeper into what happened last night. If things are personal between him and Dave Roberts, we kind of keep it going here today. Recap what happened last night. So a lot to do. A little bit later, we hear from Robert Suarez, who got suspended earlier in the day. Again, he's appealing, but got suspended earlier in the day for his hitting of Shohei Ohtani, whether you want to believe that Robert had intent with that or not. And we hear from Gavin Sheets coming up a little bit later as well. First pitch at 6:40, a lot to do on our pregame coverage. We're back after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for today's game. First pitch is coming up at 6:40 here in downtown San Diego. Should be a fun one. Padres taking on the Royals in game one of this 3-game series. Right-hander Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres, and right-hander Michael Lorenzen on the mound for Kansas City. Well, interesting night yesterday. We found out earlier today Robert Suarez suspended 3 games. He will appeal that suspension, so Robert will be available tonight. Mike Shildt will serve his 1-game suspension tonight. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts will also serve his 1-game suspension tonight. And again, the big question entering today, would Fernando Tatis Jr. be okay? And if he was okay, would he somehow be in tonight's starting lineup? Well, let's hear from the Padre manager.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
New series begins tonight, but to touch on a couple of items from last night, so is there an update on Fernando Tatis Jr. on how he's doing?
Yeah, the candle worked, man. It was good. Lit the candle, and, he's sore. Very thankful and grateful that, no fractures or anything that showed up on any imaging. He's had multiple imaging. Came back and got in today, and, he's sore, but said he wants to go compete.
Is he in the lineup today?
He is in the lineup today.
Okay.
One tough dude, man. One tough mental and physical dude.
In other news, MLB announced Robert Suarez suspended for 3 games. He'll appeal. Your reaction to that after last night?
Yeah, I mean, Robert got 3-game suspension. There is an appeal. He's in good hands with the PA. I know the PA will take good care of him. We feel pretty strongly that is a strong suspension. It was unintentional, and there's a lot of different things that took place in the course of that series that we don't need to revisit. But I do trust the league's office being judicious, but we are taking exception with the 3 games, the volume of the games, and actually, period.
Your name was also on that suspension list for tonight. Just your reaction to being as a part of those names.
Yeah, I understand it. I accept my responsibility in it, and I'll serve my game tonight, and we'll move on.
Are you, for Suarez to have gotten 3 games, and you guys said you think that's strong, like what is the case? Will you make a case for it to be lowered?
Yes, a case will be made. And again, the PA he's in good hands. Obviously, Crony's one of our, a league and representatives, and so he'll have a say in it, and be able to support what the appeal process looks like. There's a strong appeal to lessen it. Or I don't think it's going to go away, unfortunately, but at a minimum, lessen the games.
Mike, considering the 1-game suspension, do you have any regrets of your actions or what you said last night?
It's a good question, and I have thought about it. You always review, and, the one thing that I am responsible for is making sure we have a clean game, making sure our sport, first of all, represent our team and take care of our team, the San Diego Padres, and our organization and our city, and then be a good steward for the game and be a good representation of how the game is supposed to be played. And it's one thing that I've been intentional at my whole career, and my career will speak to that, regardless of level. The circumstances were really challenging this past series. And at the end of the day, I don't regret standing up for a guy that I love. In Toddy, and a team that I love, and a city that I love, and an organization that I love. So in that regard, I have no regrets, how it got to that point. Again, we can all have our comments and thoughts and theories, but as far as my actions, it's not something that you want to do every night or needs to be done, hopefully ever again. But appropriate actions for the circumstances were taken, and I don't regret it at all.
Doc made contact with you. You both get 1 games. How do you view that?
Listen, man, the league does their deal. They do a good job. They take all the factors into it. I accept my game. What they do to anybody else is none of my business, quite honestly.
Has
it become personal between you and Dave, do you think?
Has it become personal? Like me and him, or the Padres versus the Dodgers?
Him and you specifically.
Yeah, another good question. You know, I'm competing for our team. You know, there's some history that's very public, you know, with what happened last year with Manny that I took exception to. And so, you know, I handled that very privately. This got to be more public, and it's ultimately about, you know, the defense of our team, and anybody that is going to, you know, take the steps that I feel are inappropriate against our team, then I will take action. But, you know, I'm not a personal guy. You know, I don't take I'm not a grudge guy, but I am a foxhole guy.
You addressed Manny situation with Doc privately, just you and Doc?
Yeah, that was public on his side, but, you know, listen, that's water under the bridge, and you know, I handle my things privately.
But that was later on a different date after that series.
That's all I'll say.
After what happened last night, does anything change the way you approach to face the Dodgers next time?
No, I don't. No, not at all. I mean, listen, I need to stop and say this. You know, I have a healthy respect for the Dodgers. You know, I really do. I respect the heck out of their players. You know, I enjoy the competition against them. You know, you're talking about Hall of Fame players, you know, on their way to Hall of Fame players, World Series champions. I respect that. That's what we're looking to go do. You know, Freddie Freeman, Tommy Edman, Mookie Betts, Kiki Hernandez, Max Muncy, you know, Clayton Kershaw, you know, Teoscar Hernandez. You know, they're good guys, man. They're good players, and they play the game the right way. And, you know, we played really healthy, competitive games against them. And unfortunately, it's spilled into, you know, some altercation. But how we're going to compete with them next time, no, it doesn't change anything. We're going to take care of today, and we're going to take care of every opponent we can possibly take care of every day. And then they'll be on the schedule in August.
When you go out there and you show that kind of emotion, can you feel maybe a little bit of the mentor Tony La Russa coming out in you?
I actually talked to Tony last night. Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I think that's kind of how I've been wired. You know, there was no Tony never like, hey, you got to go do this or that. But I've talked to Tony a lot about how to handle situations. I called him last night about the situation. Did I handle it well? What did you think? Talked to him about last year playoffs. You know, some situations. I'm always talking to him. But I've always been wired to, when I first started coaching, to, you know, take care of this dugout.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Mike in a little bit on our injury reports, and so we'll also hear from Mike on our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40. Well, a very happy birthday to somebody here at the Padres game tonight. A happy birthday to Mamie. Happy birthday, Mamie. Thank you for saying hello. Hope you and your friends have a wonderful time at the game, okay? Happy birthday. Everybody having a good time here at Petco Park tonight as we get ready for this one. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
Let's begin with a look at the hot category. Gavin Sheets in the midst of a career-high 10-game hitting streak, batting .361 in that span with a home run and 5 RBIs. Xander Bogaerts in the hot category, 5 hits in his last 5 at-bats, a 4-for-4 game last night. Luis Suarez, 7 hits in the 4-game series against the Dodgers, 10 for 28 in the midst of a 6-game hitting streak in that span. In the not category, it's been a rough go lately for Tyler Wade. Wade is 0 for his last 13. Tyler back in the lineup here today for the Padres, and that's a look at who's hot, who's not. Quick look at the lineup today for the Padres. As we said, Fernando Tatis Jr. is in the lineup today playing right field. Luis Suarez at first base batting second. Manny Machado at third base batting third. Gavin Sheets, the left fielder, batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting 6th. Trenton Brooks, the DH, batting 7th. Elias Diaz, the catcher, batting 8th. And Tyler Wade in center field and batting 9th. Let's quickly pause for station identification on the Padres Radio Network. Well, actually, we already did the station ID. Our great studio coordinator, Nick DiNucci, is just that good. Some would argue the greatest of all time. When we come back, we take a look at some headlines from around the major leagues, plus much more to do. We hear from Robert Suarez and Gavin Sheets. First pitch coming up at 6:40 here on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park as we get ready for this series and homestand opener. First pitch against the Kansas City Royals coming up at 6:40. Let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
First, a couple of notes from the out-of-town scoreboard. The Giants host the Red Sox tonight in San Francisco. And, of course, the headline there, just days after being traded from the Red Sox to the Giants, Rafael Devers will face his old team. Devers earlier today did provide some insight into his feelings when he was asked earlier today why he'd consider playing first base for the Giants when he refused to do so for the Red Sox. And Devers said, quote, "I put up some good numbers in Boston, and I feel like I earned some respect. If they would have asked me at the beginning of spring training, yes, I would have played first base." So a little update there on Rafael Devers. Should be interesting in San Francisco tonight. Pirates reliever Dennis Santana received a 4-game suspension and was fined an undisclosed amount for his, quote, aggressive conduct toward a fan during the second game of a doubleheader yesterday against the Tigers. Santana has appealed the suspension. He is available to pitch in today's game against the Rangers for the Pirates. Cal Raleigh broke Hall of Famer Johnny Bench's 1970 record for home runs by a catcher before the All-Star break. He hit his major league leading 28th and 29th home runs in the Mariners' 9-4 win over the Cubs earlier today. By the way, you know who was at that game in Chicago at Wrigley Field? Sammy Sosa returning to Wrigley Field for the first time in more than 20 years. He was at today's game. He's set to be inducted into the Cubs Hall of Fame later this year. And finally, Angels manager Ron Washington will be out indefinitely because of health issues, and bench coach Ray Montgomery will manage tonight's game against the Houston Astros. So certainly we send our best to one of the great guys in baseball, Ron Washington. He is going to be out indefinitely from managing the Angels. And that is a quick look at some headlines from around the major leagues on this Friday. Let's take a look at today's injury report.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, there was some good news earlier today. Yu Darvish was on the field earlier, and he was throwing to hitters on the field here at Petco Park, so that was certainly a good sight to see. As you probably know, Jackson Merrill still on the 7-day concussion IL. Here was Mike Shildt earlier today. First, the latest on Jackson Merrill, and then an update on what Yu Darvish was up to today.
Jackson's in a good spot. He's in the clubhouse, had a workout today, went through what he would term a pregame day routine, and just got through talking to him and came out good. He's really made some strides. Headaches subsided, nausea subsided, soreness in the neck subsided, clarity is coming back, focus is coming back. So all the good things, able to run, hit, and throw today. And I talked to him right before I walked out here, actually, and said he's trending in a good place, and we'll see what is the next step.
Mike, we saw Yu Darvish throw some BP out here pregame. Did you hear how it went and an update on his status?
I saw it. Looked good. Talked to him just a moment ago. And, he got up twice, and pitches were good. Maldonado called him, said he thought he came out good. Velocity looked like it was good. Swings, were, what you would hope from the pitching side of it. And he said he felt good, and we'll evaluate what the next steps are.
How do you feel about Jackson on Sunday?
That's going to be ultimately a medical decision. I mean, Jackson's a gamer, wants to play like Toddy. That's the one thing I love of many things about this team is this group loves to play. They're tough dudes, and Jackson's definitely one of them. But it's ultimately going to be a medical clearance.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout. So good update on Yu Darvish, and we'll see if Jackson Merrill does indeed come back on Sunday when he would be eligible to come off that concussion IL, and we'll keep you posted on what we hear about that in the next 48 hours or so. Well, if you missed it, Robert Suarez, he was suspended by Major League Baseball 3 games earlier today for hitting Shohei Ohtani with a pitch. In yesterday's game against the Dodgers. Suarez is appealing that suspension, so he will be available for tonight's game. Robert Suarez spoke with the media inside the clubhouse earlier today. Here was Robert alongside interpreter Pedro Gutierrez.
What did you make of what happened in the top of the ninth yesterday, and then what happened there in the bottom of the ninth on the pitch to Ohtani?
Desde tu perspectiva, ¿qué viste en la parte alta de la novena entrada? Y ¿cómo viste también la parte baja con el picheo para Ohtani?
Sí, no, yo salí a salvar mi juego, situación de salvado. En ningún momento quería meterme en problemas. Me expulsaron y no pude terminar, pero mi mentalidad era salir y salvar el juego para terminar y ganar por lo menos un juego en la serie.
Yeah, from my perspective, I was just coming in to close out that game, looking for the save opportunity. I was never trying to get it to run into trouble or hit anybody. Unfortunately, it happened. I got ejected, and I couldn't finish out the game, but we won as a team, and we were able to salvage that last game.
Dodgers say it was intentional. Dave Roberts said that. What is your reply to that?
Dave Roberts dijo que fue intencional, los Dodgers dijeron eso. ¿Qué puedes contestar a eso?
Ellos pueden decir lo que sea, esa es su opinión. Ellos pueden decir lo que sea. Yo solamente sé que salía a salvar mi juego, a cerrar mi juego. Ya eso me expulsaron, no puedo continuar, pero ellos pueden decir lo que sea.
Yeah, they're entitled to their opinion. They can say whatever they want. That was not the case. I just went in there, try to save the game. I had that opportunity. Couldn't finish out because I was ejected. But again, they're entitled to their opinion. They can say whatever they want.
You have a lot of emotions on both sides. Do you think that the Dodgers were trying to hit Fernando intentionally, given how many times it's happened with him specifically?
Viéndolo del otro lado, sentiste que tal vez ese picheo para Tati sí fue intencional, sabiendo que es la tercera vez que lo golpean en la temporada.
No lo sé. Eso solamente lo saben ellos.
I really don't know. That's only a question for them. They know the answer.
Did you notice Ohtani waving his team back? And did you have any interaction with Ohtani after the hit pitch?
¿Notaste cuando Ohtani hizo el señalamiento para que su equipo se regresara al dugout y tuviste alguna interacción con él cuando pasó eso?
No hubo ninguna interacción. Yo solamente no quería que me sacaran del juego para poder continuar.
No interaction. I really didn't want to come out of the game. I just wanted to finish out, but no, we had no interactions.
Were you surprised with the ejection, given that was the tying run on the first base?
¿Te sorprendiste que te hayan expulsado sabiendo que al envasarse Ohtani era la carrera del empate?
Obviamente sabía que había un warning. No fue intencional. Al final la decisión la tomaron los umpires.
It wasn't intentional. The decision was made by the umpires. I knew that there was a warning issued for both clubs, but obviously I wasn't trying to hit him in that situation, so it was just a call for the umpires.
You guys don't play the Dodgers again until August. Is that enough time for this to kind of settle down, or do you think there will be tensions as soon as you see him again?
Hasta agosto se vuelven a enfrentar. ¿Crees que para entonces se enfríen un poco las cosas o cómo anticipas que eso suceda?
Yo pienso que siempre van a ser juegos emocionantes. Siempre van a ser juegos emocionantes con el equipo de nuestra división. Solamente hay que salir a dar el 100% y a jugar el béisbol bien.
I know those are games that are going to be always intense with a rivalry between us. It's a good brand of baseball, and from our end, we just have to go out and perform good baseball without any errors.
That was Robert Suarez alongside interpreter Pedro Gutierrez earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse. And shortly after Robert spoke, we found out he was given a 3-game suspension by Major League Baseball. And again, Robert will appeal that suspension, so he will be available for tonight's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40. Let's give you our keys to the game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Key number 1, Pavetta's four-seamer. We talked about this a little bit earlier with Bob Skinlin. Nick Pavetta's four-seam fastball has been his best weapon so far this season. He's limiting opponents to a career-low 208 batting average on that four-seamer. So how Pavetta utilizes that fastball here tonight, that's key number 1. Key number 2, win against Witt. Bobby Witt Jr. is one of the best players in our game right now, and he's hot. Witt has 7 hits in his last 15 at-bats, 3 doubles, a home run, and 6 runs scored in a 4-game stretch. And key number 3, slow down Vinny Pasquantino. Pasquantino hit a home run for the Royals in yesterday's win against the Rangers. He's hitting .339 with 5 home runs, 17 RBIs in his last 33 games. He's reached safely in 32 of those 33 games. And that's a quick look at our keys to tonight's game, this series opener between the Padres and the Royals. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have one final already today. Mariners beat the Cubs 9-4. Cal Raleigh, a couple of home runs in that one for Seattle. Game's going on right now. Rangers lead the Pirates 5-2 in Pittsburgh in the 9th inning. Orioles and the Yankees tied at 3 in New York in the 6th inning. Rays lead the Tigers 8-3 in Tampa Bay in the 4th inning. White Sox ahead of the Blue Jays 7-0 in Toronto in the 8th inning. Marlins lead the Braves 5-1 in the 7th inning in Miami. Mets and Phillies, big series in the NL East. In Philadelphia, they're tied at 2 in the 6th inning. Cardinals lead the Reds 3-0 in St. Louis in the 7th. Brewers lead the Twins 1-0 in Minnesota in the 5th inning. Diamondbacks lead the Rockies 2-0 in Colorado in the 3rd. Games yet to begin. Astros at the Angels, Guardians at the A's, Nationals in LA against the Dodgers, and finally the Red Sox and the Giants. After that, Rafael Devers trade at 7:15 in San Francisco. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Friday. When we come back, a full breakdown of today's starting pitching matchup, and we hear from Gavin Sheets. That's after this on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming up at 6:40. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park. Let's tell you what to watch for.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in tonight's game? How will the home run ball play into this series? Both these teams don't hit a lot of home runs. Padres have hit 63 this season. That ranks 27th out of 30 teams. Royals have hit even fewer. They're tied for the fewest home runs they've hit in the majors this season. Only 53 home runs for Kansas City so far this year. However, let me give you one caveat to what I just said. Even though the Royals have hit as few home runs as any team, they've hit 7 in that 3-game sweep of the Rangers this week. Jack Caglione hit the first 2 home runs of his career yesterday. Xander Bogaerts hit his first home run since mid-May in yesterday's game for the Padres. So how does the home run ball play a role in today's game in this series opener between the Padres and the Royals? Gavin Sheets talking inside the clubhouse earlier today. More reaction to what happened last night.
We talked about the managers going at it last night and your viewpoint of it and what happened.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see Toddy get hit in that situation, whether intentional or not. But Shilty's got our back. And that's what I love about him. That's what we all love about him in this clubhouse, and that's why we know he has our back and we have his back. So in that situation, it's just two teams competing hard. Obviously had a series here last week against them. They go right back to that place. Just easy for tensions to run high, and that wasn't the first time Toddy had been hit, and it had been thrown up and in a couple times. So it's a product of that.
We know Shildt can be intense, but we rarely see him like that. When a manager does show that kind of emotion, does the clubhouse dugout take notice?
Yeah, we love it. We love it. I played for a guy that was similar to that with LaRussa, and I see a lot of the same stuff with that. And it's a Hall of Fame manager with LaRussa, and Shilty's the same bloodline. So it's fun to play for those guys. It's easy to play for those guys, and we have his back with everything.
You've been hit, I'm sure, when you know it's intentional. How do you know, really, when someone's throwing at somebody else in this game?
Yeah, I think the situation. Obviously, I don't think that was necessarily intentional last night, but when guys are being thrown out over the weekend, and it just escalates to that point. And obviously, when people don't realize guys can get seriously hurt. Hopefully Toddy's okay, and but something like that can hurt a guy, take him out for weeks, and every game is important, and you lose a guy like that, it's crucial to a team. So intentional or not, we're not going to stand for that.
That was Gavin Sheets inside the Padres clubhouse earlier today. Gavin back in the lineup tonight for the Padres. Right-hander Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Padres tonight. 7-2, a 3.40 ERA in 14 starts this season. 79 innings and a third. He struck out 88 and walked 22. Last start was Sunday in Arizona. He was great that day, allowed just 2 runs in 7 innings. Pivetta has been really good at Petco Park this season. 5-0, a 2.40 ERA in 7 starts as a Padre in this building. Right-hander Michael Lorenzen on the mound for the Kansas City Royals. He's 4-7 with a 4.91 ERA on the season. 14 starts on the year, 77 innings, 80 hits given up. Lorenzen has not been good against the Padres. 17 runs allowed in 13 innings and a third in 3 career starts against San Diego. That's a 10.80 ERA. Hasn't faced the Padres since 2023 when he was a member of the Phillies. And Lorenzen has really struggled with the home run ball this season. 14 home runs given up in 14 starts. That is top 10 as far as home runs allowed by major league pitchers. You don't want to be in that top 10. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup between Pivetta and Lorenzen. As always, thank you for listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Your water should be perfect. When we come back, Jesse Agler and Bob Scanlon have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network.